Welcome to You're Not Alone, the podcast that brings you real stories of strength, hope, and resilience. Our guests are real people, just like you, who have faced losses, anxieties, and life obstacles, but emerged stronger. Today's guest is Duvall-Mehringer. Her story is a testament to strength, growth, and the power of living life authentically. She refused to write her story as a victim, choosing instead to rise above her challenges and make her childhood dream come true at the age of 59. Sit back, get inspired, and enjoy this incredible and powerful story. I met Amy a few months ago, and I was fascinated by her authenticity. I was fascinated by her story, and I was even more fascinated by what she has accomplished, and she made her childhood dream to come true. Amy, can you please share your story with us and tell us how your life has changed after your dream came true?
Well, it's a very long story, Victoria, so you may have to kind of jump in and ask some questions as we go. But
Okay.
I was born the daughter of a fundamental Baptist preacher in Kentucky. And so my very first memories were of singing and writing songs. And I was the youngest of five, and not there were three other girls before me, so nobody really wanted another girl, for one thing. um, but we were a very musical family, but everything was done for God to kind of an extreme level. And so there were many times all I ever wanted to do was sing and perform. But I was told that I just wanted attention and I wasn't doing it for God. And so I wasn't allowed to sing many times when I was really, really wanting to. And so I grew up and we were very, very controlled. It was a very, there was, I never really knew that because it was our normal. But we were very
Mhm.
controlled. And I grew up and I knew that girls don't go to college. Girls grow up and get married and have children. And I didn't question that at the time, but I married pretty much the first guy that asked me, and all I ever wanted to do was sing, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to sing in my dad's house and in my mom's house, and so I just thought I'll get married, everything will be perfect, and I'll sing, right, and I'll have a family, and that'll be what my life is, and unfortunately, who I married was very an abusive man, and so then I found out about abuse, sexual and physical and mental abuse to a
Sorry.
great extreme, and so I had three children, and he would say when I sang in the church, he would say, "You sing awful. No one will ever want to hear you. Um, don't why are you embarrassing yourself and me by singing?" And so from the time I was little, I would always have to sing in private. And so I would take the record player out into the woods and I would string extension cords and I would sing, when I married him, I would sing just by myself. It was, and so I was married to him for 12 years, and finally, about 5 years in, I went through a crisis of faith, basically, and I left him, and I went back to my mom and dad's house, and I said, they must have been right because they were never mean to me like this,
Mhm.
right? And at that point, I was questioning things, and then I realized they wouldn't allow me to question things. And so it became this battle for um, my life. And they said, yes, you should divorce him, but then you'll be like a widow in our house and you'll never date again. And I was 25 years old, and
Oh
they were
my
like,
God.
you'll just be like this scorned woman in our house. And I said, that doesn't seem right to me. That
Of
doesn't seem like
course.
what I want to do. And so they said, well, then you're not welcome, leave. And so
Oh.
I lay in a bed in Kentucky, and I said, I don't see God anywhere. But if you're there, I'm not going to blame you for what people do, but you need to show me, and I need to become myself, and I need to have peace and joy and love in my life. And so I went back to my ex-husband who um, was still the same person, but I was different. And I said, I'm going to find out. And he worked a lot. We had a business. And so I began listening to everything that I could listen to, and questioning everything that I could question, and finding out about abuse, and finding out about gaslighting, and finding out about, religion, and the people who say they're right, and
Mhm.
what is truth, right? So
Yes.
I started questioning all of these things. And 7 years later, I went through a divorce. And when I went through my divorce, I said, there's two things that I'm going to do. I'm going to sing with any band that comes along, and I'm going to have sports again because my ex-husband wouldn't let me have sports. So I stepped out and I said, I'm going to learn from everybody I come across, and I'm not going to be dogmatic about being dogmatic, right? It's like
Mhm.
I'm just going to find out what works for me. And so I began this journey that um, has brought me here. And through that, I just continued to sing all different kinds of music with terrible bands and with good bands and with anybody who would let me. And finally, about 2010, I said, I really love the music of the jazz standards, and like
Mhm.
like Karen Carpenter and those 70s yacht rock songs. And I'm just going to learn those. I'm going to go in by myself. I'm going to learn those. I'm going to sing the songs I love, and I'm just going to see where it takes me.
Mhm.
And from the time I was little, I was always, like, I'm going to have a record one day. It's going to be a record, right? And it's going to have my picture on it, and I'm going to be beautiful. And that was my goal,
Mhm.
is that for my whole life. And so I began to learn these songs, and about 3 years later, after practicing for 3 hours every day for 3 hours, I am in an empty church. I went out into restaurants, and I started singing these songs. And then COVID hit, and nobody was allowing you to sing anymore. And I said, I'm 55 years old. It's time for me to go into the studio. And I had a friend who had been at Blackbird Records many years ago, and he had a little studio. And so we started working, and it was COVID, and we could only work on Wednesday nights sometimes if it worked.
Mhm.
And so 3 years later, um, my first album came out, um, which is so amazing and so beautiful. And it's
Mhm.
called Love Letters on the Path, because over the years, God has become so real to me. And the love that is in this world has become so real to me. And I would find hearts everywhere.
Mhm.
And so I'm kind of addicted to hearts. I collect them, I have them everywhere. But I'd be walking. So nature art um, has just healed me. It's become a way of life for me, is to find
Mhm.
beauty in the world. And so so when I would find a heart made out of bird poop or chewing gum or whatever, I'd take a picture and I would say, this is a love letter on the path, right? This is the love
Correct.
letter that God leaves us if we're paying attention. And so my first album is called hashtag Love Letters on the Path, because it's a
So
love letter.
beautiful.
It's a love letter for you. It's a love letter for me.
Mhm.
It's um, it's just my heart. And so I got CDs, which nobody much has anymore, and you can download it as well. But I also got it on vinyl, because that was my dream when I
Yeah.
was um,
Wow.
when I was 5 and 6 years old, to have a vinyl record with my picture on it.
With
So
your picture on
it's
it.
there. Yes, yes. And so I have made that dream a reality now. And it's been October 12th, it will have been a year since it came out.
Con-
And it's,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. It's been a very healing and a very, I don't even know how to describe
Mhm.
what it is to have the dream that you have had since you could remember, and then
Yes.
it's here, and it's tangible, and you're able to give it to people and say, here's my gift, and if you like it, it's okay. If you don't like it, it's okay, but here's
It's
my
okay
gift.
too, yes.
And so that it means so much. And so during the intervening years, I've always kind of written lyrics to songs, but I started writing poetry. I did a poetry blog for about 8 years,
Oh, wow.
and did a good newsletter, which was a production that it was my words, other people's words, and an art put together in an 8-page publication that I did for about 6 years.
It's
And
beautiful.
so I've taken all of those, and my daughter, who is an editor and a writer, has helped me put out books of poetry. And so the latest ones that we have done, so I have 7 books now since last October that have come out.
Wow.
They're on Amazon, but these are the latest
Wow.
2. So it's spring and summer,
Oh, this is
and
beautiful.
they're so lovely. So they're pieces of my poetry, and then my pictures that she
Hmm.
has watercolored,
Oh,
mixed
wow.
with poetry, and they've just turned out so beautiful. So fall is almost here. Fall is almost here,
Hmm.
and then there will be winter. So there'll be 4 different ones, and they're really lovely. So everything
Yeah.
is available on Amazon from
I
that.
have goosebumps actually.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes.
So
Well, this is
yeah,
an amazing story. So, Amy,
thank you.
what were the most challenging moments during your journey?
Well, when I stepped out, I always said I had a very, very beautiful gilded cage that I
Okay.
lived in. We had a
Hmm.
very successful business, um, and yet I was with someone who was very abusive and narcissistic, and so I knew that he was not going to let me go easily, and
Hmm.
so I said, I was living the words of Christ. Don't,
Hmm.
if someone takes from you, give to them. What, don't
Hmm.
don't judge other people. Just go forward. And so I said, so he had put everything in his father's name, in the business and the house and all of that stuff. And so I knew that it was time for me to just walk away, basically. And so I lost everything and everyone I ever loved, and including custody of my children, because I had no money, and I had
Oh.
no resources. I had nobody in my corner saying, yes, this is the right thing for you to do. I had nobody. And so I said, I have to move forward. I have to figure this out, because at some point my children are going to need me. They were 10, 9, and 5 at that time. And I have to make my way in the world and figure this out, so that when they do come back to me full
Hmm.
time, that I'm ready. And so I stepped away, and I stood on a balcony, and I thought about ending it, because I knew it was going to be so hard, and I couldn't do that to them. And so
Hmm.
I promised I would stay here. And so I went forward, and I had no no resources, no money,
Hmm.
basically. And
Hmm.
and I went to a women's shelter at that time, and they said, "Oh, we'll help you, but you have to write your victim story." And I said, "What do you mean? I'm not a victim. I won't be a victim. I'm an overcomer. I am a survivor.
Oh.
I'm an overcomer. I'm not a victim. And I won't write something that says victim statement on the top of it." I stayed there. I chose to stay there. And whatever part, I'm not giving him a pass. I don't think that what he did was in any way right.
Hmm.
But I stayed there for 12 years for my own reasons, and I won't be his victim. And so they wouldn't help me. And I found that over the years, over and over again, with with shelters and that sort of thing. They wanted to create a victim, and I said, I won't be a victim ever. And so
Mhm.
I said, I'll just do it my way, right? And so I just started working as hard as I could work, and I had, we had a very successful business, but I didn't know the way of the world, and I didn't know how to work in the world, and I had no
Because
job
you got
experience in the
married early
world.
too.
I got
Mhm.
married at 20, going on 12, right? It was a
Mm.
very sheltered,
Mhm.
protected life, and my job experience was with him in our business. But if somebody called him, he would either say, "Well, I don't know who that is," or he would say, "She's abandoned her family and she's this, person." And so I had to figure out how to survive, and so I worked and I worked and I worked, and I did a lot of I mean, if you mention a job that's sort of, doesn't make a lot of money, I've probably done it. I've
Mhm.
probably done it. And I just figured things out. But my main goal was healing, because I said I
Yes.
don't want to be bitter. I
Mhm.
will not be a victim, and I don't want to be an angry person, right? Like, I want to, when I come through this, I want to be who I want to be. And so I have to figure out how to heal
Mhm.
my trauma so I don't make the same mistakes again. And so I don't do the same, and I don't, when my children come back to me, they see who I am and what my words are and what my music is. And so I kept, that was part of the reason why I kept writing, is because it was like, I know at some point, whether I'm dead or alive, my children and my grandchildren are going to come try to find out who I was,
Of
right?
course.
Because they may not
Yes.
have known. And I'm like, I want them to know what I'm putting into the world is good. Like,
This is
what I'm doing is healing the world, not continuing the war and bringing
Mhm.
more grief into the world. And so, I mean, I'm so grateful now because all three of my children are in my life.
Oh.
I have a grandbaby who is 10 months.
Oh,
And
congratulations.
yeah, it's like my kids have all, um, it's just beautiful, the relationships that I have with my kids now. So, um,
This is
it's,
beautiful.
yeah. And I did, for so many years, I had such little resources. And my son at one point said, "Mom, we're the richest poor people I know." And I said,
I
"That's
love
so
it.
great. I love that. Like, that's how it should be, right?" And so, and the f the people who came into my life were people who were just, brought here by the angels and helped
Mhm.
me and guided me. And I did, I did caregiving for Alzheimer's and dementia patients in homes for 8 years, and, which is how I met my current husband.
Oh,
And so, yeah, so it's
congratulations.
like everything leads you where it's supposed to lead you, right? So,
That's true.
um, yes, so it's been good. It's been
It,
good.
it's been a beautiful journey, Amy.
It has. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's tough. It's probably very tough to go through what we
Uh,
as women have to go through. I've been through physical
right,
abuse as well. So I
right,
understand how
right.
you felt. Um,
Yes.
Can you maybe share something with ladies who are going through difficult times and who are afraid to
Mhm.
leave their abusive husbands, how they can find strength to go and live happier life?
I truly believe it's all in timing, and it's in knowing that what our lives are so valuable and so short. And so I don't think you can do it until you're ready to do it, because it is the hardest thing that you'll ever do. And you will lose a lot. You'll lose a lot. And part of that is, you know, even when it's so hard, and when you love someone, it's very difficult to leave that
Mhm.
person. It's very difficult to say, what will life look like? How can I do this? And I don't ever push people to do what they're not ready to do.
Mhm.
But I will tell you, it's so worth it when you step out and you take your life and you say, no matter what, I'm worth more than what is happening to me. And I will fight and I will make it. And it might be hard and it is hard, but it's so worth doing. It is so worth doing. And your life is so beautiful and you are so beautiful and you will find someone who will who will value you and who will not abuse you. And it is it's a it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it
Mhm.
is so worth it. And I just encourage you to do it with a plan, with a long-term plan. You
Mhm.
can't do it with a short-term plan. You can't say this is going to be okay tomorrow, because it's not going to be okay tomorrow. It's going to be really hard tomorrow. But with when you look long-term, what do I want my life to look like in
Mhm.
5 years, in 10 years? What do I want to look like when I go to the end of my life and I look back at it?
Mhm.
What do I want people to remember about me? That's what your goal is. That's what you're looking for. And that's where you're going every day. And you have to keep that in mind as you're walking through these really hard steps. And there will be people that will come alongside you that you don't even know yet. I mean, as soon as you do it, there will be these beautiful people that will come and they will help you and you will do it one step at a time. And so do it. Do it. If it's time, do it right now. Like,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, I agree with you because sometimes we think the thing will happen and change overnight, but it doesn't happen overnight because
no,
we still have to change the way we think about
right.
ourselves. We still have
Yes,
to overcome our traumas and long-term
right,
relationship that we've lived in.
right.
And but seeing that perspective of how I want to feel in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I think that what can encourage us to move forward with our
So important.
dreams.
And that was from Stephen Covey. He talks about that. Go to your grave. Go and stand in front of your grave with your, what does it say on your grave? Who do you want people when they're standing around your grave? What do you want them to say about you? Who do you want to
Mhm.
be? And then start living that every day. And you have to remind yourself of that. Like when you're going through really hard things, you have to remind yourself this is going to end, because it will. Everything changes. Everything
Everything.
changes every day. And
Yes.
it might be short. It might be a lot shorter than mine. I mean, mine, it took me like 27 years to get here, right? It wasn't easy. But when I look now, it's like, thank you
Yes.
for being able to see that perspective, and every day reminding myself. And what I told God, Spirit, Universe, is I have to have something good every day. One thing at
Mhm.
least, or I can't
One
stay
thing.
here. One thing. I Every day I looked for one thing that was good. And no matter whether it was like a hot cup of coffee or whatever, it had to be enough, but I had to pay attention to that
Mhm.
one good thing a day. And I truly believe that's why I have these books, is because it's the documentation of those one thing
Mm,
that I lived that way. I
yeah.
lived
Oh, I
every
have
day
goosebumps.
looking for good things,
Mhm.
and I found them. There's more goodness in this world than there is anything else. And
Especially
there's
correct. Yes. And
right,
when we have our eyes open too and we notice those little
right.
things that brings us joy and that satisfaction. As you said, hearts, it can be you
It
can
can
find
be a
them
heart
anywhere.
made out of
Yes.
bird poop that drops in
Correct.
front of you on your head,
Yes.
maybe even, yeah. I
Yes.
mean,
And this is
yeah.
so beautiful. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And those things are what build your life into a beautiful piece of art.
Correct.
When you
Yeah.
get a little further down, you look back and you say, wow, that was it was hard, but it was beautiful. Every day I found this goodness, and every
Yeah.
day it was there, helping me through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
it is.
Oh,
It's good. It's good stuff. Life
it's
is really good.
life is really good. Yes.
It's hard, and it's always bitter, and it's always sweet. Like, there's good and bad every day, no
Yes.
matter where you are. Like,
Hmm.
I don't care if you're, the most rich person in the world and you think you have everything.
No.
There's always good, there's always bad. It's always
Yes.
but sometimes the bad is a little worse and sometimes the good is a little
Hmm.
a little more.
Yeah.
And you live for those moments where you're in a flow where life is full of mainly good moments. That's what you're
Correct.
living for.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
notice those good moments around you as
Yes,
well. Yeah.
and you're living to celebrate that
Yes.
goodness. Um,
Yeah.
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 But you gotta feel
Um,
it both.
of course.
You have to feel the grief as well, and this world has a lot of grief. It has a
Yeah,
lot of
and we all tune to shut down our feelings, but once we allow
right,
to feel good and bad, it's
right.
actually what let us explore more good things in our lives and
Yes.
enjoy it and
Yeah,
have fun and
right.
see hearts everywhere, right? Enjoy
Yes,
our
yes.
cup of coffee, or glass
Right,
of water. Yes, just
yeah,
allowing those emotions to be and live through them. Yeah,
right, and
yeah.
even releasing the tears, when we release our tears, we move into these bigger moments of
Yes. Yeah.
beauty and color and like the joy becomes so much more and the grief is so much more too because we can
Yeah.
love so much more, our hearts are open,
Yeah.
and so
Yes.
when we
Yeah.
release our hearts then life is full and rich, and
Yeah, and we allow
that's what
ourselves to live as well, right? So we kind of
right,
release in it, and love,
absolutely,
and life and love comes our way. Yes,
right,
yeah.
right, yeah.
Amy, can you tell me what was that trigger point or that moment in life in 2010, right? When you decided to pursue your dream, when you said, okay, I'm going to sing. So what happened that time? What actually kind of push you forward to start singing to bring you where you are right now?
Well, and that's so interesting because I thought I was committed to music, right? I thought I was committed to this life. And all of a sudden in a moment, and I think there are those moments, there are those, the magnitude of the final straw, right? Like there's these
Yes.
moments that come forward and you remember the before and after.
Hmm.
And I went through a breakup. um and it was with a musician who is a very talented musician,
Hmm.
very complicated, very complex musician, and I found myself not singing because he was such a talented musician. I didn't feel good enough, and so
Oh,
for 4 years I did not sing a note,
oh,
nowhere.
wow.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
and my life had been singing my whole
Hmm.
life, and even in the midst of people telling me that I shouldn't sing and then I couldn't sing. I was singing, right? It was in private, but I was always singing. And then this guy was such a good musician that I didn't feel like I was good enough.
Oh,
And so when
wow.
I went through this breakup, I was like, do I, this, my music has been it's in one way been a hard gift because no one gave me permission, right? No one said
Yes.
I could do it. No one
Everybody was telling you
ever.
you cannot.
I know, and everyone was always saying, "No, that's not what you should do." And so I stood on the edge of this moment and I
Mhm.
said, "Do I want this gift? Do I even want to step back into it?" It's a muscle, right? So I hadn't sung in
Yes.
4 years. I knew it wasn't going to be great, right? Like
Yes.
I was going to have to make a decision to either go all in
Hmm.
or step away. And at that point, I realized 99.9% commitment is no commitment, right? It has to be 100% or it's nothing.
Correct.
And so I I had I had a voice of God that came to me and said, "Go to this church and sing on a Sunday morning." And I said, What? I've been to this church once. Like, they're not gonna I'm not gonna go in there and ask them if I can sing, right? So I said, "Okay, I'll go, sure, but I'm not gonna ask them if I can sing. And if
Mhm.
they ask me, then I'll sing, and I'll say that's, and that'll be my sign, right? Whether to step in or step out."
Correct.
So I went to this church. I sat on the back row. I knew nobody. I had been there once, and it was kind of a medium-sized church, 400 people, whatever. And so the guy gets up and he's leading the singing, and he gets to about the middle of the song service and he says, "Well, the person who was supposed to sing is sick this morning. Does anybody want to sing?" I mean, he actually asked that.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm just like, okay, okay, I'll do it, right? And
Oh my
so
gosh.
I got up and I sang "How Great Thou Art," um, which is a beautiful old hymn. And it was the worst song I've ever sung in my life because I was crying and I hadn't sung in 4 years, so I was not in voice. And, but it was the most powerful song I've ever sung.
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Okay, okay, I'll do it." And then
Oh.
I'm another church, came along that was empty during the week where that was real close to me. And I said, "Okay, I'll make the commitment." And I would go in there every day for 3 hours, and I started working out what I wanted to do, and praying a lot during that time as well,
Mhm.
that, you know, this it wasn't just about me. It was
Mhm.
about something bigger than me, and it was about the story, and it was about the faithfulness of love, the faithfulness of
Mhm.
life, of God, if you want to
Mhm.
call it God, if you wanna call it whatever you call it. But there
Higher
is
power
something
universe.
how
Yes.
higher power universe, there is something bigger than
Mhm.
me that has brought me here, and I'm just to share it, right? Pay
And you
attention.
were guided to actually sing. Yeah.
I was, and so then I said, "Okay, I've gotta take it on," right? And
Yes.
so I started working at it as a full commitment of, this is the dream, it's always been here. Got
Mhm.
derailed a little bit over these years, but this is the dream, and this is the voice that I've been giving, and who am I to say it's not good enough, right? Who am I
Correct.
to say that it's not worthy
Mhm.
of sharing? Um, and and some people will love it and some people won't. That's what I had to get over was, there are always going to be people who don't like me. Like
Yes.
I I had a hard time with that. And I think a lot of people do.
Mhm.
We're brought up to think everybody should like us, and if they don't, then there's something wrong with us,
Something wrong.
right?
Yes. We take it
Yeah.
there is something
And
wrong, but yes.
right. And we're not for everybody. We're
Mhm.
for the people who can hear what we're saying and hear what we're singing and are ready to be a part of that, and step
Correct.
in and hear the encouragement and change their lives. And some people will and some people won't. It's not up to us. There's something higher that is
Correct.
taking what we're doing, you in this beautiful podcast, and like, we met each other immediately. I was just like, that's the most gorgeous girl I've ever seen in my life.
Thank you,
I couldn't
Amy.
take my eyes off of you. And then, you turn around and you bless me with writing me and saying, "I'd like to hear more."
Yeah,
How good
because
is
I had
that?
goosebumps when I heard your story
Yeah.
that you just released your album, you're writing books, and that was your
Right.
dream, and you singing as a little girl in a forest. It was just amazing. Because I
Yeah.
know that a lot
Thank
of
you.
people so afraid to pursue their dreams,
Right.
and they stop themselves because of the comparison. We're not good enough.
Right.
XYZ. There are a lot of things that there are a lot
Right.
of fear and not trusting who we truly are. But I think
Right.
you're an example of a person who
Yeah.
actually went through a lot through physical, sexual, emotional abuse, who went through shelter, who kind of rebuilt your life again to
over and
something
over.
beautiful,
Yeah.
something amazing, and now you're sharing your beautiful voice with the world, with the universe, and you're sharing your books and your story. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yes,
Thank
it's.
you.
I have
Thank you.
goosebumps. It's just. I
I
think the
kind of
whole.
I have a goosebumps just listening to you, and it's like, oh, is that me? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's all you. It's all you. Yes, and
Thank you.
your energy, your authenticity. And I remember we called you authentic Amy. You called yourself
Right.
authentic Amy.
Well, and yeah, and that's really so, my whole life I lied, right? To survive. I lied. I lied when I was little because no
Mhm.
one wanted to hear who I was. And so I would pretend I was somebody else, right? And I
Yes.
married an abusive man who I lied to every day just to survive, right?
Mhm.
And when I stepped out and I lost everything, I said, I don't want to lie anymore. I want to tell the truth. And whatever that means, I'm gonna do it. Like that is my goal is never to tell a lie. And somebody's like, oh, you should be an actress. You'd be a really good actress. And I was like, I don't want to lie. Right. Like I don't want to pretend like I'm somebody I'm not. So if I'm gonna act, I have to be me. Right. So
Yes.
it's like telling the truth and being authentic is my goal. It is my
Mhm.
goal to step into that and to tell other people it's okay. It's okay if you have a hard story. It's okay. You're not celebrating it by you're saying, thank goodness I've overcome that. Thank
Correct.
goodness life is better than that. Life is bigger than that.
Correct.
And when
And
we're authentic, that's what can change the world. Right.
and I think when we're authentic, we are changing the world just by who we truly are. We stop lying
Right.
to ourselves as well, right? So that's
Yes.
kind of, I think, the biggest
Oh, it's
challenge, to stop
beautiful.
lying to ourselves as
Right.
well. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
pretending that we have to be something that we're not,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what what do you think you've learned from that experience, from
I have learned
everything?
so
What?
much. And I think what I've really learned is the answers don't matter as much as the questions, right? Like we
Mhm.
just have to keep questioning because the next decision is always our most important. I see people all the time who are like, "Oh, you should see me then," right? Those were my
Yes.
glory days, and you can kinda tell by the way they're dressed and the way their hair's cut,
Hmm.
like when their glory days were, you know? And it's like, okay, but what about now? Like, what about now? What's next? Like, what's exciting you now? What crossroads are you at right now
Yes.
that is like, this is exciting to me if this could happen? And it's always what's in front of us that
Hmm.
matters the most. And so I think that those things are, and just to, like be your best every day. Wake up and enjoy it. Use your good china today. Like find the beauty in today because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't.
Hmm.
We don't. We live in this world and so many people have this anxiety and they're just so scared of what's going to happen. Oh, if this person, somebody said to me the other day, if this person wins, we're dead. We're just going to like and I'm like, it's 4 years, right? It's
Yeah.
going to balance. Like it's going to come back
Correct.
around. Somebody new is going to come up. That's not what's going to end the world.
Correct.
Like
Hmm.
or I mean, yeah, you might not like it. There might be some things that you don't like, but really what's going to make a difference is not that. What am I
Hmm.
doing today? And my life could end before this election happens, right? What am I doing today that's going to make my life valuable to me in today
Yeah.
if I'm not here tomorrow? Like
Hmm.
what's going to matter? What matters the most to me? And that's where we need to live.
Hmm.
That's where I want to live is what can I do today to be my highest and best self? What choices can I make today that are going to make me a better person today?
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
And and so that, I've lived like that for a long time and
Yeah.
it's been a beautiful way to live. And when I forget, um
Life
And it
gives us
has
a
to come back
lesson.
around.
Here we go.
Yes,
Reminder.
yes. Exactly. Then I get a little lesson and it whips me back into it,
Yes.
you know?
I mean, that's life, right?
Exactly.
So we learn
It
as we
is.
go.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we tend to go to the lowest denominator. What tastes good, right? Like
Yeah.
for me, I'm a Taurus, what tastes good? Oh, the chips and the Coke, right? Like not that celery that I need to eat. It's like, yeah.
Yes.
So then I come back and I say, okay, you know,
Yes.
what does my body really want, right?
Hmm.
What's
Yes.
gonna
And
make
that's
me
the,
feel good? What's gonna make me feel better?
yeah. And sometimes we may need the Coke and chips, and sometimes we need celery and
Right.
salad. Just listen to your
Exactly.
body, listen to yourself, to your
Yes,
true self. I mean, what
absolutely.
maybe advice you'll give to people who are questioning a lot and not taking that step forward?
Mm,
What can you advise
yeah, I
them?
and I truly believe that it's timing. I truly believe,
Mm-hmm.
like I have for 7 years when I had that moment where I said, "Okay, God, if you're here, you got to show me," right? For 7 more years, I learned everything I could
Mm-hmm.
learn. And that's my advice is start reading everything you can read. Start looking at everything. Start looking at houses that you might want to move into. Like look at create a vision board, create what you want. Even if you can't do that, if you're not in a safe space, do it in your head. No one can control what's in your head. So dream. Close your eyes at night and picture your life as good as it can be. How you want it to be. No more of the crazy. Walk away from the drama. Get off of the roller coaster. Even if it's in your head, get off of the roller coaster. Say, this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. And then start saying, what's my best choice now? What's my best choice today? Is it to go or is it to stay? That's my best choice. I'm going to do it. And, when I looked at my choices, when I came to go, none of them looked good, right? So I said, what's my best choice that I can do today that will lead me where I want to be later, right? Like what's going to take me there,
Correct.
even if it's going to be a hard choice now. And then just inch by inch make those choices. Even if it's, okay, today I'm going to smoke one less cigarette than I did yesterday. Today I'm going to drink one less Coke than I did yesterday. Whatever that one thing is, do it today and then tomorrow. And if thinking 5 years ahead is too much, think about 40 days. I can do this for 40 days and see where that takes me. And pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Just pay attention. Write it
Right.
down. Like if you can't write it down, pay attention in your
Mm-hmm.
head. Make a note of it mentally. Okay, I did this yesterday. I'm doing it again today. All right, I can celebrate. I did it. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yes.
just stay aware and celebrate
Mhm.
everything. Like
Mhm.
celebrate everything you do.
Yes.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness,
thank you.
I'm so strong. I am so strong. I did this today. Like how strong was that? That was such a great choice that I made.
Y-
Like
Yes.
change the dialogue in your head that you're not a loser, you're a winner. You did
Yeah,
it.
not a victim. I love
You're
that.
not
I
a
don't want to be
victim.
a victim. Yes,
Exactly.
that
Don't
was
put
so
yourself
beautiful.
into a position where you're a victim ever. Don't
Yeah.
don't do it because it it makes you weaker rather than
Mm-hmm.
stronger. Whatever, like you can be a survivor, you can be an overcomer, you can be, a thriver. You can choose whatever word you want, but choose those words that are going to make you strong. You are
Yeah.
strong. You are a
Yeah.
warrior. You are a winner and you're not going to say anything else. You're not going to let
Yes.
anybody else put that on you. They can
Correct.
put it, they can say it they want to, but
They
it's
can
not
say
true.
wherever it is,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah,
they
they
want to
can say
say. Yes.
whatever they want to say, but that, like, shield yourself. That's
Yes.
not what I am. And if they say it and you take it in, then turn it around and say, nope, that's
No.
not what I am. No. And
Yeah.
what can I do right now to make that
Even
change?
like
Things
in
that I
our
want.
heads. Yes.
Even
Yeah.
our head,
Mentally.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Our the head is where it's all in. It's all.
That's
It's
true.
everything is
Yes.
in the head. everything else can be going wrong, but if your head is strong and got to know the
Yes.
truth. Listen to your heart,
Yes.
not the voices.
Mhm.
Listen to your heart and just say, I know the truth, and this is the truth for me.
Yes.
This is the truth for me. Whatever they say, that can be okay for them,
Yeah.
but that's not
Yes.
for me, right?
Yeah. This is their life and this is my life and this is my
Yeah. This is
truth.
my life and I'm responsible for it. And at the
Yes.
end, they're not going to stand for me. Like I'm standing for me, right?
Correct.
And
Yes.
and that, that's a very, very important piece is just getting your head to a point where you know that you can take control of your life. Nobody else will stand for
No.
your life.
Correct. I just
Yeah.
noticed
Yeah.
that you spent 7 years going through your self journey and
Right.
you published 7 books as well. So I guess we expect to
I
have.
love that. Woohoo! That's awesome. That's great.
So I
Yes,
guess
thank
we'll
you.
have 7 albums too.
I I need 7 albums, so I'm working on a Christmas album right now, so I'm
Oh, this
excited
is
about
beautiful.
that. Yeah,
Oh, we're
so
excited
hopefully
too.
it's like timing has been bad, and so hopefully it'll be out before Christmas. I'm
It will
very
be out
excited
before
about it.
Christmas. I
Thank
believe
you.
in you.
Thank
And
you.
the number 7 itself, it's 7 energy centers in our body, 7 chakras.
Right.
So, and it's a very powerful number. So,
Such a powerful number. Yes. Yes, yes,
yes.
yes. 777.
Seven
Absolutely.
seven seven. Yes.
Awesome.
My studio actually addresses 777 for sevens.
That's so cool.
Yes.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah. So it's
That's
a
cool.
very strong and kind of powerful
Yes,
number.
it
Yeah.
is. Wow.
Yes. So one not the last but question.
Yes.
How do you stay strong and motivated? So after you release your album, how do you stay strong and motivated to release another album and keep going and sharing your gift with the world?
That's really interesting because, I've gone through so much and I go through moments where I'm like, okay, maybe this is it, right? Like
Yes.
maybe I'm done, right? Like maybe there's nothing else. And I think that's the creative process. You kind of have to give yourself some space in between and say it's okay
Mhm.
if there isn't anything else. Like, right? If that's it, it's all right. Let me just enjoy life. Let me learn new things. I really think the key to it all is just staying curious about life and
Mhm.
staying, where life is fun. Life is
Yes.
exciting, right?
Yes.
And there's always these new things. I mean, because we're never going to find it all out, right? Like there's never going to be a time when we're like, "Oh, I don't have anything else to do in this
Mm.
world," right? Because there is always like this new thing that you've never even heard of. Like somebody was like telling me about this great like nature park somewhere and I was like, I've never even heard of that. Like how do I not know about this, right?
Yeah.
There's always
Yeah.
something new and always something being created because someone else is always inspired when you're not, right? Like
Mhm.
there's these moments.
Yes.
It's you know,
Yeah. Cycles of life.
it's a cycle and a circle and so it's just staying curious and allowing the empty space. Like the empty space is hard for us. It's
Mhm.
hard, especially for Americans. It's really hard to be empty for a moment because we are
Yes.
always like, oh, we've got to do. No.
Yeah.
Yes. And the empty space is it's a beautiful space to be in the void, right?
Mhm.
It's a hard space, but it's a beautiful space. And that's where then the new can come in because you're not holding the old and just trying to
Correct.
force it. And so yeah, so I think letting that, you sort of kind of have to have like when I finished this, I was like, okay, I want to do a Christmas album. I've known forever I wanted to do a Christmas album. So, but it's taken me this whole year. I thought I would start in it on it last year and it just hasn't worked, right?
Mhm.
So it's kind of all ready, but I have to actually do the work to get it recorded. Um and so yeah, so that's happening. I think that's going to be happening like really quick because it needs. I'm ready for it.
I believe in you. I
I'm
know
ready
it will
for it.
happen.
Thank you. Thank you. And then And then I know I want to do like a 70s, like more yacht rock stuff. So I'm going to
Hmm.
do, Karen Carpenter and Anne Murray and some of those great old songs um, that I'm really excited to do. It's a little bit more poppy than, the jazz stuff. And so it's like, okay, I want to do that. And then the guy who's recording me is like, okay, so probably the fourth album we'll do originals. So we'll sit down and we'll write. So I have a lot of lyrics, and so I feel like I'll be ready for that by then, in
Yes.
another year. So I'll be ready to really start putting songs into my own words into
Yeah. Oh,
the
this is
album.
beautiful.
So, yeah, so there's a lot of things, upcoming. And then my daughter's like, "Okay, we can release books every month for like 3 years because of all the books that you've written." So I'm like, "Okay,
Oh my gosh.
maybe people might get sick of it by then, but we'll do whatever, like we'll figure that out." So we're still going.
Yes.
She already
They
has
won't
like all
get
these.
sick, you know. There are so many
I know.
people here that
I
they
Well,
need
exactly.
colors. They need, yeah.
Exactly. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
inspiration.
we have a lot of she's great at, figuring out the next thing to do. So this morning she was like, just jot down, like go through all of your old journals and stuff and pull out like pages that you think are cool and send them to me and I'll put them together. And I was like,
Oh, this is pretty cool.
like yeah, and she's like so cool about that, so I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, that'll be spectacular. So we may end
Yeah.
up seeing something like that soon.
Oh, this
Who knows?
looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Yes.
so there's so many things. And then I've dabbled with watercolors a little bit. And
Hmm.
so I've been thinking I want to do a little bit more painting as well. So we'll see where that takes us.
So you're very creative. So you
I,
let your creativity
I
shine.
do. Well, and the one thing that I don't do, which I feel like I am ready, maybe, like it's all about timing again, right? So I wasn't allowed to dance because dancing was evil, right? Like to move your
Hmm.
body was evil. So even though I sung all my life, it's, dancing has always been hard for me. And so I feel like dancing is something that I really want to explore now. And I
Okay.
could break a
That's
hip now that I'm 60,
no.
so, yeah, no, I'll do, like, gentle dance to, something. But I really
Ballroom
do feel
dancing.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like dancing will release a lot of stuff because I feel like I've just been trying to take stuff off of my voice,
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
just, like, taking it off and
Yes.
freeing it and making it more and more authentic, and I feel like dancing is such a natural we are here to move our bodies, right? I mean, it's just that's what releases us, and
Yes.
so I think exploring dance will be a great motivator to the next step of what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna
Grab
release
your husband and go dance.
it's
Hire
gonna
an
yeah,
instructor.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's gonna release things that haven't been released yet in me.
Correct.
And
Different
so
ways, right?
in
As you
different
said,
ways.
explore
And so
something new. There is always something new
yes.
to learn. Yeah.
Right. And so
Yeah.
I'm super excited. It's a little scary for me because, dancing has always been like this big block in my head. No, I can't dance. And so I think that's the next frontier is like
You can.
getting through
I
that.
was told
Thank
I
you.
cannot
Thank you.
dance too. And I went
Ooh,
to, yes, they said when I was a child, you cannot
right,
dance. I
right.
was like, okay, I
Yeah.
cannot dance. And I took my first dance lesson, I think 2 years ago, right after
Oh,
COVID.
yay.
And my instructor told me, like, you have a natural talent to dance. You just have to learn it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So,
beautiful.
yes.
Okay, so now you're encouraging me, which is
Yes.
awesome. Yes, I love that. I
Yeah. I
love
want to
that.
hear your dancing story too. So
Okay,
we'll catch
next time
up in
we'll
a
talk
few
about
months.
dancing.
Yes.
Okay, that's great.
Yes.
That's great. I like it.
Thank you, Amy. It was
Mhm. Thank
amazing,
you.
beautiful.
Mm,
And I think for me, what I took as a huge takeaway, do not be a victim. Don't let people, and do not look at yourself as victim.
right.
You went through a lot, but changing your mindset, changing the way you look at things actually brought you here where you are right now. Amazing, beautiful, authentic, fun, happy, and the woman who actually enjoys what you're doing, like it's amazing to see what you are doing and how you let your creativity to shine and how you let yourself just to be and enjoy this life with little things, with bird poops in shape of heart. This is amazing.
I love it. I love
Yeah, just noticing those little things. It's
it.
beautiful. And
Thank you.
your path wasn't easy, right? So you had to overcome a lot of challenges and a lot of obstacles in this life. And kind of as we wrap up, can you share your final encouragement legacy message to someone who is going through similar situation that you've been going through, or someone who pursue their dreams, something that
Right.
would come from your heart?
I really just want to encourage everyone. I feel like we all know in our hearts, like we're born with gifts, right? We're born with what really speaks to us. And I just want to say, listen, listen and do it. Like put yourself on that path and find the joy, follow the peace, follow the joy, follow what brings you into your highest and best self, and then celebrate it and tell others, like talk to people about it, because there might be some people who don't want to hear it because they want to control you, but the people who are really for you will love it and will support you, and reach out, like reach out to me, reach out to Victoria, like reach out to somebody who you know is going to give you that encouragement and the freedom. Like we have freedom, we can take it, we can take it for ourselves, and in that we become stronger, and every day that we live from the heart we get stronger, and then the world will hopefully not be quite so divided.
Yeah, yes.
You know, because we don't need to fight, right? Like truth isn't a
Yes.
fight. Like my truth isn't a fight. I don't
Yes.
have to fight with you. Yeah.
No, we don't need to fight. Thank you so
Right.
much. Thank you,
Thank
Amy.
you.
So you
Oh,
can find Amy's information below this episode. I will share all of the links
yeah.
to her books, to her album, so you can enjoy her beautiful voice or heard her singing. And
Thank
as
you. Thank
we
you.
wrap up today's episode, I hope you found an inspiration and strength
Mm,
in Amy's story. And remember, every challenge is an opportunity to grow. And there is always a light, even in the darkest moments. And until next time, and remember, you are not alone.